All right. How you doing? It's another start of a new week. Football season fully in control. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to the Mike Prince Show. Coming to you each and every day right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network, covering the world of HBCU and beyond. Of course, we're going to feature my beloved Prairie View A&M University Panthers. Follow me on Twitter at OBN_radio. Instagram is Radio Guide 22. And for YouTube, Facebook page, and our Facebook group, it is Open Mic Broadcast Network, OPEN, capital MIC, Broadcast Network. Reminding you all that September 1st will be the start of our listening partner program. You can be a part of the support team, if you would, by subscribing to become a monthly supporter at 17 cents a day. That comes out to $5 a month. Go to the website at obnradio.com and subscribe today. And without any further ado, we'll jump right into today's episode. There is no doubt that by now you have heard the news that the Prairie View A&M University Panthers came up short against the Rice Owls on Saturday to kick off the collegiate football season. Panthers lose by the score of 31-28. Now, before we get off into any of the details of the game, we'll get an overall assessment from Coach Eric Dooley on how he felt the Panthers responded overall, and then at one point being down 16-0 in the first half of the contest.
I thought it was a hard-fought game. Had a couple of turnovers that changed the complexity of the game, but that's football. You got to limit the turnovers and create turnovers. But most of all, I'm proud of the kids. They fought hard. I thought that showed a lot of composure right there, and that's who we are. We're going to continue to fight because it's been a hard camp. It's been hard since the spring. So I know those guys don't feel well about what took place, the outcome of it. And, sometimes you win those games, sometimes you lose them. But right now we got to just understand the things that we got to take care of, which is the turnovers.
And, of course, that was Coach Eric Dooley breaking down the overall assessments of how he felt the Panthers played. And you notice he talked about turnovers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in today's broadcast. But we also were thrilled to see that Tristan Wallace was able to make that connect with Jalen Morton, getting 5 receptions for 147 yards and a touchdown. Morton overall, not a bad performance with 244 yards of passing, 16 of 28 for 3 touchdown passes. So we'll talk about how Wallace was able to connect with Morton once again from Coach Eric Dooley.
I thought he made some good plays, stepped up and threw the ball well for his first start. Of course, we knew that Tristan was going to be a big-time target for us, so I was pleased with that as well.
Now, another interesting observation from Coach Dooley was his commentary on how the defense played, and here are the assessments on that one.
Yeah, they did a great job. I think they only allowed 12 points in the second half, which was a great job. Had those guys to be 3 and out maybe 3 or 4 times, which was crucial right there. But once again, in that special team, that turnover, that kind of hurt us and changed the momentum of the game. I think they settled down. The butterflies was gone. They made the adjustments that were needed and started executing.
And like I stated, before this game ever took off, I was never concerned about the skill positions for the Panthers going up against Rice. I always thought, and it showed, that this game was decided in the trenches on both offense and defensive side of the lines. Now, for me personally, this last soundbite was probably my favorite soundbite of Coach Dooley's overall assessment of the Panthers' performance. Check this out, and I'll come back with my thoughts.
I think it takes a lot of positives, but once again, I would never accept a moral victory right now. we 0-1 right now, but we're not going to let Rice beat us twice. We can't move forward looking in the rearview mirror, so our attention is going to let this go and start preparing for the Eagles.
There are no moral victories. I like that. There are no moral victories. You cannot let Rice beat us twice. It's in the rearview mirror. Let's move forward. Let's get focused for this Central game. And before we get into the Central game, I want to recap and go over some things that I saw, plus and negative, on the Panthers, and why it's not time to necessarily hit the panic button just yet. Now, throughout our different sound bites, we heard Coach Dooley harping on the turnovers, and there were a couple of big turnovers. One was a strip sack that Rice recovered and later turned into some points. And then there was the bad snap on the punt deep in Panthers territory, which caused 2 points to tie the game up at 28 in the fourth quarter. And we know that turnovers are vital, in particular when you're playing up, in this case, and on the road. So you have to do acknowledge that for what it is. However, there were a couple other things that I thought that were somewhat questionable, but I'm not going to be so critical. This was game one. It was if you allow me to say it in such, a dress rehearsal. And with that being said, I don't care how long you've been in the game. I don't care how seasoned you are. Nerves do come up. Jitters do come up, and that's not making an excuse, but just calling it for what it is. And the perfect example that I'm giving is this. The Panthers get the ball with 2 minutes remaining in the third period or third quarter. You're up. You're on the road. You got 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. The Panthers go 3 and out, and when they punt, it's 1 minute and 33 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Personally, I always had a challenge with the spread. It's not whoever is coaching, whether it was Dooley, Simmons, Northern, it didn't really matter with me. The spread offense has always been a challenge for me for such a time as this. When you're on the road, in particular, playing up with the lead, you've got to be able to eat up some clock. I really think that was a huge turnaround because when we were playing position game, you got to give credit to Jamie Foxx, who was the punter for, I'm sorry, I said Jamie Foxx, but Jack Fox, who was the punter for Rice, played an excellent role in the determining factor of this game by pinning the Panthers back deep for the entire game. However, with the lead, you got to start using that clock as your ally. And I think that was a blown opportunity. Yes, we had 2 huge turnovers, but we also had some mental lapse, if you allow me to say it in that manner. Not in a negative way, PV Nation. Don't get all in a bunch. I'm just addressing what I obviously saw. And if you ask anyone who coaches or manages a game, you want to use that clock, especially in the second half when you know you have a lead. But as I stated, this was game one, and it was a first go around for everyone. And if the truth be told, that's just something I'm going to chalk up to the game. Now, Panthers had a total of 384 yards of offense. We may mention that Morton was 16 of 28, 3 touchdown passes, 244 yards. Morton was also sacked 3 times. Dewanye Tucker, 10 touches for 73 yards. Then you had Jalen Morton, 12 touches for 53 yards. Then there's a guy by the name of Bernard Goodwater. Remember him? 1 touch, 27 yards, and a touchdown. Not really sure if there was an injury, if there was some disciplinary actions on why he did not get more involved in the game. That's something that could help milk that clock. I understand that Dewanye Tucker is the featured back, but in a situation on the road, you have two bigger and a inside running design backs in the likes of Broach and Goodwater. Just would have loved to see them guys get a couple more touches as we're trying to eat the clock down. But that spread offense, it's going to be, as Coach Dooley referred to, basketball on a football field. But it can also be one of those situations, the thing to make you laugh can also make you cry. And it was evident that was a key role. Another key series, once again, the Panthers pent back in their territory. Morton had a huge lane to at least extend the next series of plays, but he then decided to throw it after the fact he started running, missed his receiver, and in fact it was real close to whether it came over the line or not when they had to review the play. But however, those were a couple of blown opportunities. Once again, first game out the gate, I'm going to give some clemency. However, as I stated, PV had nothing to lose playing against Rice. We saw that Rice ran for 310 yards. Rice was going to be plain and simple. The message was, you are going to be playing smash mouth football. When you have the big guys up front who can make the difference, as you begin to see the weighing down of the Panthers. The Panthers gave up 12 points in that fourth quarter. That was a sign of fatigue, in my own honest observation, because the big guys wearing down the guys up front on the defensive side. Those are things that hopefully will improve. Now, one thing that's always been stated, that teams improve 20 to 25% as the week progresses. So, as I mentioned, yes, it was a tough loss for the Panthers. However, the true measuring stick is going to be how the Panthers come out against North Carolina Central. Coach Dooley addressed that himself in his press conference. The Panthers cannot allow the one that got away to hinder them as they move forward for the next week. Now, also understand this too. There are a lot of hidden entities that you may or may not be aware of. Offensive coordinator for the Rice Owls used to be the head football coach for North Carolina Central, who are going to be the opponents for the Panthers this week. So Dooley had to keep some things close to the vest to make sure that you don't let all the cats out of the bag as you get ready for your next opponent, because you do know and understand that Coach Mack has gotten in contact with Coach Eastman from North Carolina Central and have advanced whatever intelligence he could to help the Eagles prepare for the Panthers this week in Atlanta. So I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet. I would have loved to seen the Panthers defensively force Rice to throw the ball by crowding the box. But that's water under the bridge right now. The true litmus test is going to be this week. It all starts in the ATL, Labor Day weekend. The Panthers and the Eagles of North Carolina Central, the MEAC SWAC Challenge. So we'll see how the Panthers adjust, and we'll move forward from there. And speaking of adjusting, how about the transformation for Quentin Bell from receiver to defensive end? Looked pretty good from the defensive side, still learning a position. But one thing that you can make up is speed. Running a 4.5 40 definitely created some challenges for Rice on the offensive side of the ball. So we're extremely excited to see how that will develop throughout the course of the season as the Panthers get ready to take on the North Carolina Central Eagles. And speaking of the MEAC, we want to give a congratulations to the North Carolina A&T Aggies beating Jacksonville by the score of 20-17, chalking one up for the Davids taking on the Goliath in the world of college football. So don't forget, you can dial in on our message line. You can leave your assessments, comments, questions, concerns about PV Nation, HBCU Nation as a whole. or anything else that is on your mind. That phone number is 713-570-6736. Don't forget, that line is open to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we will get it in rotation for you. Reminding you to subscribe, become a listening partner as we kick off our listening partnership drive on September 1st. But you don't have to wait till September 1st. You can actually go to the website right now at obnradio.com. We ask that you would subscribe and become a listening partner. Simply click on the PayPal button, and we ask that you would join forces with us at 17 cents a day. And what a difference you can make. And speaking of a difference being made, I have run out of time. I want to remind you to follow me on Twitter at OBN_radio. Instagram is Radio Guy 22. The YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the Facebook group is Open Mic Broadcast Network. OPEN, capital MIC, Broadcast Network. Until the next time, you guys be blessed. I am the radio guy, the doctor, Mike Prince, and we'll see you on the other side.